Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast. All right. We're back and better than ever. Welcome back to the Sneakers and Cleats podcast, where Jerry Jones is going off on the Cowboys. They just finished up their State of the Cowboys.
The facts are.
State of the Cowboys address a couple minutes ago, and Jerry had some interesting things to say, that's for sure. So we'll break all that down for you. Matt, Roy, Don Harris, Chuck McIntyre. If you don't know us already, you should. Rate, review, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, tell a friend, tell an enemy. We will talk about the Cowboys. We also went to AAC Media Day this week, so we'll get some comments on the UTSA Roadrunners being ranked number 2 in the AAC Media poll. Plus, if we have time, the Olympics kick off this weekend. So we'll talk about the Wemby and Team France, their chances to take home the gold. I highly suspect that we will not have time, though, because of what Jerry said today. So first and foremost, guys, how are you?
Well, man. Couldn't be better.
That's pretty high praise. Couldn't be better.
I spent an hour today with the students and faculty at the Hallmark University and part of their Live Life Better speakers series, and I was encouraged and energized by the youth of America and the young people there going to school there. Just fantastic student body, and shout out to Hallmark.
If we needed a PR statement, you think you just wrote that one?
Yeah, they were fantastic, engaging.
I like how we're all sporting different businesses around our station too. I got Starbucks. You have Chick-fil-A. What do you have over there, Chuck? Schlotzky's, nice.
Yes, Schlotzky's.
Bob, come on, man. You're just repping the company. Just repping the company.
Nice. Got personalized.
All right, so let's get to our trivia question first. We'll get to this at the end of the Cowboys and UTSA stuff. So trivia question today is, Team USA is 143-6 in Olympic play since 1936. Pretty good record. Who is the only team to beat them twice? Who is the only team to beat Team USA twice in the Olympics since 1936? And I will give you a hint. And not a hint, but I will say Russia and the Soviet Union are two separate countries. So if you say Russia and the answer is Soviet Union, you're wrong. Just FYI. That's just how they do things, okay? Don't look at me like that.
It doesn't look fair.
I don't keep the statistics.
Okay. So say that again.
So Team USA is 143-6 in Olympic play since 1936. Who's the only team to beat them twice? They've lost to 5 teams. One team they lost to twice. So that's the trivia question. Get in your answers in the comments. We'll get to a couple of sections. We'll answer that here in about 15, 20 minutes. So let's get to the state of the Cowboys because I can't stop thinking about it. Jerry Jones giving his State of the Cowboys address today. First thing that I want to get to is his comments on Dak Prescott.
Got to be the Soviet Union,
you have
right?
A pen?
I do not have a pen.
Bob, throw me your pen.
Well, you can think of one Soviet Union loss right away. It's 1972.
Go ahead.
So.
We're moving on. We're talking about Jerry.
We are, but you're writing stuff down.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not for you. It's not for you.
All right. So his comments on Jerry is what really I think took Don and I by surprise for sure. So let's hear that, and we'll talk about that first.
Don't think so. Just to be very specific, I do not think that this will be his last year with the Cowboys at all. Am I being psychotic relative to my mirror? No. It's pretty clear, I think. I want to say it if it hadn't been clear, of how much we appreciate what Dak Prescott has meant to this team in a positive way. And the players do play better when he's out there. He does make his teammates play at a higher level. There's no question about it. So I'm right there in line with his best fan. But believe it or not, in my life, I've had a lot of things I wanted that I couldn't get because I couldn't afford it. Now, have I learned to live with that in 80-something years? You bet I have, and life does go on. And sometimes when you get a bump like that, you turn around and do better than you would have had you got what you wanted. You'd have never known it had you not had to go get there. There's been some of my life with the Dallas Cowboys that's reflected. That had I gotten what I was sick about and ready to jump that I didn't get, Had I gotten it, it wouldn't have turned out as positive as it's turned out.
Sounds a lot to me like they're preparing for life after Dak Prescott.
Well, I think they have to prepare for life without Dak Prescott. But, some of this we have to take with an ion of salt, too, because I remember time and time again, us sitting here, Zach Martin, just as early as last year, Jerry John Alinen saying, 2 weeks into camp saying he's not going to budge and this isn't going to happen. You can't make all the money. He's already got his bag. He went on and on and on, and then boom, Zach gets a new 2-year contract out of the deal. Part of the reason why they're in the conundrum that they're in right now with their salary cap is because of things like this that has continually happened over the course of the last decade or so. Yeah. So, but golly, that was a pretty doggone entertaining press conference. But I do say so myself.
And there's another bite that where he says he's even stronger about the all-in stuff.
Well, yeah, we'll hear that next.
Okay. But you put the two together, and you're seeing that what he's saying is, to me anyway, I'm not sure he's not going to pay Dak Prescott. But I think if he pays Dak Prescott, it's going to be at the end of the year where he'll just match any other offer. And Dak may be so upset about things that he walks anyway. Dak will have the ability to. But it sounds to me he's not going to pay him until after the playoffs. That's what it sounds like to me. Like he's drawing a line in the sand in that if Todd France and those guys have their number and it's not where Jerry wants it to be and they can't afford, then this other bite where he's talking about being all in and no, McCarthy, Dak, whoever, it's all about this season. And it might even be the CD. And it might even be the CD. Like, it's this year. And that's all we're talking about. You have a contract.
Let's hear that bite real quick, and then I'll give my 2 cents afterwards.
But I have spent my life doing it, and I dream about it every day. I'm into it. Here. I'm all in. I'm all in. Sometimes being all in means you narrow. You remove the months out here that are in the future. And you narrow it down to where all we're talking about is right now and the next playoff season. And that's it for everybody. We're all in. We're all in. It's all right there. Let's okay. We all got some things out here in the future, another 2 or 3 years on contracts, all that stuff. Let's all get in here. Zero right now in this. Dak's got his year. Contract. Let's focus right here. We all got a lot on the line for that playoff game.
Obviously, he wants to do better this year than last year, but he said all in 5 times in that soundbite. And it's all in to see what the hell this roster is going to do this year. And it's Dak has 1 year left. Mike McCarthy has 1 year left. Zimmer has 1 year. So many other players and people have 1 year. Well, CD, they have, you'll hear from Steven here in a second. They have those guys for 3 years, basically. If you want to do the 5th year option, then you franchise. You can have CD for another 3. He'll be unhappy, but they have his rights. I didn't expect Jerry to say what he said today about Dak, that sometimes you can't afford to pay him. Because you saw that with when they drafted Zach Martin, he had to be talked off a ledge to not draft Johnny Manziel. He's had those circumstances before. And so to hear him say, kind of compare those two things, anecdotally a little bit, for him to say, sometimes I want things and I can't afford them, or it's better not to do that. It was kind of, I didn't expect to hear him say that about his star quarterback.
I think he said that, and he's probably said it to Todd France. And it's probably just a negotiating ploy. He's saying it publicly to basically tell all the Cowboy fans, I haven't thought about life without Dak. I love Dak, but I've had to live with other stuff before because I can't afford it. And sometimes it works out better. Like, I'm prepared not to be able to afford Dak Prescott if this is what he's going to ask for.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just negotiating through the media.
He's done this before, though. He's said those things. He's played the tough guy role in the midst of a negotiation. But to me, it's again, the 40,000-foot view on all this. It's Dak has already gotten his second contract, okay? That's what this is all about. CD is in line to get his second contract and has earned the right to get paid, maybe not to the degree that if what the Cowboys said today is true, like if CD wants to get paid as high as anybody's ever been paid that's a non-quarterback, now you add that to, they said the same thing essentially about Micah, unless I heard it wrong. Now you've got two guys that want to be paid, the highest paid guys in the league that are non-quarterbacks in NFL history. You got a problem. You've got a massive problem. Now you're talking about three guys, and they said the numbers too. You're going to have three guys making between 70 and 80% of your salary cap. At what point does any of this make any fiscal sense, given you just got your ass kicked by the youngest team in the league that doesn't have any of these contracts like that? So at some point, you've got to weigh all this, put it in the blender, all the numbers that go in and go up against the wall or go into the supercomputer and it spits out what you should do. What does the supercomputer say when you have all these variables? Do you sign all three and do that and make up and have this many?
No way.
It would be 60% of your cap, yeah.
It's going to be, I said this 2 months ago. It's going to be 2 out of the 3 unless all 3 take significantly less. And to sign 2 out of the 3, the 2 you sign have to take a little less. But I don't see him signing all 3.
What I heard today makes me think that they're going to sign CD and Micah and let Dak walk. You let your $60 million quarterback walk. You see what
that's what
you
we
can
hear
get
today.
next year.
But Dak,
that's what I heard today.
But Jerry's in love with Dak, and that was a negotiating statement. He doesn't believe that. He wants Todd France to believe that he's ready to move on.
They have no leverage. No matter what your negotiating statement is, they have zero leverage. Like they can't. They have to give him $60 million to keep him.
Is some other team going to give him the highest paid quarterback? Make him
100%.
Some other team is going to make him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
Depending on what happens this year, I would say, yeah. If he has another year like he had last year, where he's the second, where he comes in second in MVP voting, yes, 100%.
And chokes in the playoffs?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he's still better than 20 other quarterbacks that are in this league.
Yeah.
The Browns are almost done with the Watson experiment. They'll take them.
No, they're not. They have 3 more years at $45,
If that's
$50
the
million.
case, then I'd let him walk. If he plays great, wins 12 games, and chokes in the playoffs, he's not going to come back.
Yeah, I mean, think where the Jets will be, right? If Aaron Rodgers just has a year and they don't bring him back, or I don't know what his contract situation is, but just throwing out a team like that.
Yeah, he has 1 more year left.
If you feel like there's a team out there that has spent reasonably modestly because they don't have a star quarterback and feel like it's ready to make a move, then there's going to be another team that will pay Dak Prescott exactly what he wants.
Let me ask you this question.
But it's the same thing right now, too,
But
with,
if you're
with
Jerry, why don't
Lamb
you wait?
or
Don,
would you wait?
Why not just wait? And
I'm with you.
And you pay the same.
I'm 100%
If the
with
Jets
you.
say we're going to give him 60, we're going to make him the highest paid, then Jerry might say at the end of the year, okay, we will too.
But why even put that option on the table and not just give it to him now? If that's
He's trying
gonna
to
be your
motivate him to win.
option. I don't think he needs any other motivation to win.
Well, he's
No.
never won.
I think there's a lot of wisdom to that. I mean, and Jerry said as much, I think, during this press conference today about, playing with a little heat underneath your keister too. I mean, the bottom line is for most of these guys anyway, everybody's on a 1-year contract. The way things are written, the way anything goes. We can talk about McCarthy playing out the last year of his contract. If they lose their first 7 or 8 ball games this year, he's not going to play 17. He's not going to coach 17 games this year. That's just the way it is. But I was a little surprised too how the press that was there today asking questions kind of went all in on the players' standpoint side, as if they had blinders on to what the salary cap is. You can't do what these players want to be done, the 3 of them together right now. And there just seems to be like we're living in an alternate universe with where the reporting is or where the fandom is in regards to what this team's salary cap looks like. If in a perfect world, if you want to blame fault, blame the Cowboys for not winning when Dak was working under his rookie deal. You had a really good, functioning quarterback, and you didn't win a Super Bowl. You could have paid everybody else around him, and they did, and you never won when you had that opportunity. Now they're having to work in reverse of that, and it's really difficult when you got a guy making all that money.
Speaking of making all that money, let's hear from Jerry and Steven talking about CD's contract and trying to sign all three of these guys.
Was it Martin that wasn't here last year?
Correct.
Correct. Pretty big deal. Okay? All buttoned up, contract and all. Wasn't here. Does that ever happen? Of course it does. Look all over the league. It happens all over the league. So I don't flare when it's happening to us. I'm aware of it. You must give me that I'm aware that we want to get these guys to camp. Business as usual, as far as I'm concerned. That's the point of that diatribe I just had before this. I'm used to this. I can live with this. No, I don't get bent out of shape over the fact that somebody is not here or here at all.
You know, if we had these three guys done, there'd be somebody else. I can assure you. They kind of wait in line and seeing when it's their turn. Obviously, we had everything buttoned up last year, and Zach, who's had an unbelievable career, all-pro career, one of the best players to ever put on the helmet here, decided, hey, I've been under a long-term contract and I'm underpaid, and I want to be paid. It's going on San Francisco. You just look around the league. As Jerry said, it goes on everywhere. We have a very unique situation. We have a quarterback who played at the top of his game last year, second in MVP voting, who can leave. And then we got two players who can't leave here for 3 years. Theoretically, if we didn't sign either one of them, I guess we couldn't franchise one 3 years from now. But we could sign one of them. And both of them, rightfully so, believe they should be the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. And totally respect that. So very difficult situations that we're trying to work through with them. They want to win. They want to put a ring on their finger. And they understand the difficult situation we have with a high-priced quarterback going into his second high-priced contract. He was the highest paid when we paid him 3 years ago. And then we got two other guys that we're trying to work through. It just takes time.
That's what you've been saying, Chuck. He made it very clear to point out that Dak's already been paid.
Yeah, and Chuck, you've been saying that for months.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but they've been pretty clear about this. And again, you're working your books not only for this year, but the next year and the year after that and the year after that, right? And that they even brought it up. I thought it was kind of, I don't know, chintzy almost to drag Zach Martin under the bus. Like, why bring him up? I mean, I know that this is part of the problem. Like, you've set your books in play. You think everybody's got a contract. You're ready to go to camp. You think you got a good team. You think you're going to go do great things. And, well, and Jerry said as much after he signed Zach Martin to the extra year after it was all said and done. It's like, I didn't want to mess up what we had going. We got too much at stake this year with the ball club that we think we have. But because he did that, because he got pushed in a direction he probably didn't think he was going to have to go to and had to pivot on the fly, well, guess what? That means you sacrificed at least some point your future by doing that, what you did with Zach Martin.
Let me ask you guys this. So all in on this year.
Jerry.
It's obviously they're all in on this year. Let me ask you, if they go 3-5 to start the season, 2-6 to start the season, even a 4-4 record to start the season, do you think, if none of these contracts get done, that a Dak trade, a CD trade, a let's start over thing starts to happen? If they start 2-6, Mike McCarthy's going to get fired. He's not a huge proponent of firing people midseason, but if they start 2-6, that there's a very good likelihood that that's going to happen. Do you think that those trades that you could pick up, maybe 3, 4, 5 first-round picks over the next few years, start resetting your team?
Yeah,
do you think that's possible?
I could see him going into seller's mode because if they start 2-6, Jerry's going to be in no mood. I can think he could go into seller's mode.
I mean, I think everything has to be on the table if you're the Cowboys at this point. I wouldn't even be thinking about what you would do if you're, 8 weeks into the season or right before the trade deadline. I mean, I think you got to put everything on the table right now. What are our options? How far are we going to go with these contracts in terms of if a guy's holding out or, what we think we've got with Dak? I mean, I don't think you get rid of Dak, but don't you have to at least consider, if this goes on too far with CeeDee Lamb, that if he wants to be paid as much as he wants to be paid, i.e. not only just the highest paid receiver in the league, the highest paid non-quarterback in the league, at some point, does this make no sense whatsoever to give him that bag and trade him?
It's $35 million and $1 essentially is what he wants, because that's what Justin Jefferson got. Just $35 million a year. So it doesn't make a lot of fiscal sense, as you've been saying for months. You can't sign all of them. And so I think it'll be very telling over the next couple of weeks. If you see them sign CD, I would be willing to bet that Dak's going to be gone. If you see them sign Dak, I would be willing to bet that either CD or Micah are going to be gone. You can't sign all three of them, no matter how much the salary cap is right now.
Well, I can tell you this: Micah's not getting anything this year, I don't think.
No, I think Micah's going to have to wait till next year.
And I think CD's holdout could be extensive. Could go into missed games.
Yeah, I don't know. Because, again, for as much as we heard today, and I think it was a lot, I think it's easy to dig in on one side or the other. I know I have certainly before, especially with Zach Martin. I thought last year for sure, it's like,
he
okay,
caves, yeah.
he 100% caved. And
And
then
he
at the end
might
of this
cave here.
press conference today, he said he was talking about something, and I don't recall exactly what it was, but I think it was about, being the quarterback option guy and holding the ball all the way to the sideline. He said something to the effect of, let's see what the morning brings. So maybe there's some movement. But again, if the other side of this, i.e. the players, aren't willing to budge on some of this, if it really is about being, quote unquote, the highest paid guy in the league for 5 minutes, then, maybe you have a problem. Maybe it makes it harder to get to where you need to go. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of variables we don't know because we haven't heard from anybody in any of these other camps, but I don't know. It's
the
just
other
all
thing is-
typical Dallas Cowboy drama. I mean, here we are. We're supposed to be talking
Yeah.
about the first day of practice, right? All the excitement of that. We're talking about contracts and holdouts. And again, I get it. I'm more fascinated by this than I am by anything that happens on the first day of camp, unless somebody gets hurt.
Oh, but the most fascinating, Jerry's illegitimate kids, his son Jerry Jr.'s alleged illegitimate kids, the daughter divorce papers, getting documents from the. I mean, that stuff was.
I'm not touching that.
That was saucy. All alleged.
All right. Well,
But that was.
It's gonna be-
We learned some things at that trial.
I think it's going to be really interesting as we go through the next couple of weeks, because I'm usually I think that Jerry will cave. I don't know why. I get a different vibe this year, especially.
That was the same thing I said last year.
I know, but it feels different. It just the whole thing around it.
You're
feels
right. The
different because-
math makes it feel different this time.
Absolutely,
I agree.
because Zach Martin wasn't asking for $35 million. He wasn't asking for $60 million. He was asking for 2 or 3 more on top of his
To
16
me,
or 17.
this
so
draws
this is just so different to me.
It draws a comparison for me because I'm super old to Emmett's holdout in the second after they won the first Super Bowl, and going into that Buffalo
And they went
second Super Bowl.
They went 2 games. And
They went
lost
0-2.
both games, and
Yeah.
then they gave him the bag.
Yeah,